I love horror. Netflix has horror. So, we do horror movies. What's poppin', y'all? Welcome back to another YouTube video, and today we're branching out into one of my favorite genres of movie, horror movie. Not like we've branched out and done horror movie plenty of times in the past before, like every other day is a horror movie on the channel, I'm gonna be honest. We do review a lot of them, and it's not even spooky month, but we will be doing like the big boys in spooky month, like Saw, sort of Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th. That is going to be our spooky month sort of regime, because I have realized I've been watching a lot of spooky movies, so October might not be as special when it comes to film reviews, but I'll try and make it as special as possible when we do get there. But other than that side note, we are going to head right back into the video, and without any further delay, let's take a look at what Google has to say about this movie which I recently watched on Netflix, which is Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. So, it has a 6.2 out of 10 on IMDb, a 78% Rotten Tomatoes. You can watch this on Netflix, Amazon Prime, or Sky Store.
In 1968, the night of Halloween brings mayhem in a small town when a group of friends discover a notebook written by a mysterious girl that foretells terrifying events.
So, how this story starts is with a girl goes home, says she doesn't want to go out, gets a call from a walkie-talkie, and he's like, yo, you want to come out Halloween with us? Let's go. She's like, you know what? Chill, let's go. So she decides to go out anyway. She meets with her two boyfriends, and they dressed up as like a clown, a spider, and a witch. They have a bag of shits and a load of eggs, so when the, bullies steal that shit and pull it into the car, they set it alight and trash his car. They're then chased into a drive-in movie theater, and then chased into an abandoned house. They find a book, they take it home, and that guy turns into a skeleton. The bully turns into a skeleton because the book writes it in blood. The next day, she's worried and panicking because the bully went missing. She goes to the field, and she's like, oh my god, the Scarecrow's wearing his clothes. She then goes home. Her new friend that they made at the drive-in theater comes home and is like, oh shit, look, the story's writing itself again. They're like, oh shit, oh damn, it's our buddy. Hey, don't eat no soup, because there's just a random pot of soup that ended up in his fridge. He takes it out, he's not listening to them, he doesn't believe them, he doesn't give a shit. He's eating this soup. He finds a toe in the soup. He then hears a woman shouting, where's my toe? He then hides under his bed. He climbs out from under his bed, and then he gets dragged back under his bed into the darkness. His mates finally arrive at his house and see a load of nail marks leading under the bed and into a wall. And they're like, oh shit, our buddy's gone. They tell their mates next morning, it's like, shit, our buddy's gone. We then have the next one being killed, which is a girl who's bit by a spider, who has spiders crawling out her face. They manage to save her, but she passes out and ends up in hospital. We then have the guy go to the hospital with the other two, and it's like, oh shit, oh no, I'm dying now. Let's go, because they want to check the hospital records to find out about the girl and how the other people died and if anyone survived. They then go to the guy dies by getting absorbed by this pale lady. They then go and harass an old people's home, and they're like, hey, no one survived. They then get captured by the police and, locked in jail. The policeman gets his head ripped off by the sort of dancing men, the gangly men, and these two break out of the prison cell and then make it to the house. She gets transported back to the 1800s, and they believe that she's Eleanor. She then transports back to the present, and she confronts Eleanor, tells her that she'll tell Eleanor's story, which she does. She writes it in the school paper. No one fucking believed her. Big whoop. The other guy managed to hide and survive from the gangly man for a pretty prolonged period of time, and he went off to fight in the Vietnam War, and she went off with her dad and the other guy's brother to go study the book and find where the book has mysteriously taken them, which leaves this movie open for a sequel, which never fucking happened, and I'm fucking glad that it never happened, because this movie was very fucking boring. The only time that it managed to build tension and actually put me on edge and get scared enough to put a pillow in front of my face or try and cover my face to look away from the impeccable sort of jump scare was from the lady with the missing toe. when he ran into that room and I saw the door creak open and her feet disappear, I was like, well, shit, she's on the bed. Then he started crawling out from under the bed, and I'm like, you stupid fucking idiot, don't get out. Don't fucking get out from under your bed, you fucking idiot. You stay there. I don't give a shit. You stay under that bed until it's fucking daytime, till it's morning. He crawled out, and I was shitting myself. He looked over the edge of the bed, and I was shitting myself. I was expecting it to be on the bed. And then he got dragged under the bed, and that was it. That was all the tension that was built up. It was so really well done with the sort of dead fucking quiet. There was no music at all in this scene, so you couldn't hear a sound. You didn't know where the monster was, and it was genuinely terrifying. I genuinely hated this one. And the others were pretty boring and pretty basic. We just had an ugly monster in the form of the gangly men just chasing our main guy around who could detach his body parts. That was kind of gross out, and that was it. It was just gross. We then had the Scarecrow, which wasn't that scary because he was very slow moving and didn't really do much other than jump scare our main guy, because what was really happening to him was he was turning into a Scarecrow because he was impaled by the Scarecrow. Like, that was all that happened. Like, he was impaled and he was turning into a Scarecrow, and that felt more sort of uneasy, unsettling than scary, because I can't, like, reference what that would feel like. However, I fucking hated it when this girl had spiders covering her body. That sent, like, I was so uncomfortable, I was cringing, I could imagine how that felt with all the little spiders crawling all over you. I fucking hated that. It wasn't, like, scary, it was uncomfortable and unsettling, and you know what, this horror movie did get me to feel things like fear, tension, uneasiness, but that was for 2 out of the 6 sort of deaths or sort of attempted murders that were on these kids, and the bully just seemed really lackluster. He seemed just like a general dickhead, which wouldn't really do what he was doing. Like, the way he was portrayed didn't really match up with the actions that he was taking. I would have felt like he was just more of a sort of casual bully than a, oh, I'm going to beat the shit out of you and kill you type bully. The girl plot twist of not being dead with the spiders coming out of her face, I felt was not unsurprising. I thought I called that a mile away because it never actually said she was dead. It was just the brother saying, oh, she's gone. So I was like, but we never saw her die. She was completely fucking fine. How did she fucking die? Fair enough, we saw all the spider bites on her body, and it's like, oh, she died of, like, spider bite poisoning, or whatever the fuck, like, venomous spiders. I wasn't buying it, I wasn't believing it. I was like, are they seriously going to kill her off like that with no explanation? I thought she would have survived because the ghost disappeared. And you know what? She did survive. Called it. Piece of piss. Easy. Let's go. Easy claps. And the characters, again, just felt very basic. There was no sort of character, like, there was no, oh, I forgot the word, no connection between the characters. They all just felt like they were shoved into this situation, and they had no character chemistry. It didn't feel like they actually got on as friends. It kind of just felt very forced with how these characters were interacting and how these characters were actually acting, with that really stuck-up nerdy one being the nerd trope, the other one being the sort of dumb trope, then the girl being the girl trope. It all felt very formulaic, very sort of systematic, and it did get very repetitive with, oh, story arrives, kid dies, they fail to get there in time to save them. It started to get repetitive, it started to get boring, and I'm going to be honest, the one which was the most unrealistic for them to get to is the one that they actually fucking got to. They were in the same hospital as that one kid. They were around the block from that other kid. They managed to run from a car park all the way at the other side of town to the school to get there in time before she died. That was the most unrealistic to me. That was the most far-fetched to me, because I didn't believe there was any fucking way they ran from there to school and got there when they couldn't make it to the other side of the hospital before this guy fucking croaked. It just felt unrealistic and very, like, formulaic, very systematic, and it just didn't do it for me like some of the other horror movies that I've recently watched have, and there is much better things to watch. I am running out of things to watch, so if you do recommend anything, or you want me to review anything, please do leave it down in the comments below. But unfortunately, I am going to have to give this movie another 4 out of 10. I feel like this is a 4 out of 10 job, because there is some good points in it, but there's also others which aren't that great.